This video is dedicated to one of my private messages friends. He know who he is up in Tokyo. The name of this video is called Misunderstanding. We've been exchanging mail back and forth. The exact details aren't really necessary for me to talk about. But there is this one thing that we've both been talking about. Well, he mentions, but I don't really care about it. But that he mentions about being in Japan, and what he's saying is true. But for me, I tend to look at it from a different point of view. However, I have my own story that I want to share. I've said it in another video, but I want to kind of say it a little clearer so everyone can understand. Anyway, one day I was somewhere in Wakayama, and I ran into one of my friends. There's some girl, and I hadn't seen her in a long time. Actually, I was really surprised that she even remembered who I was. And she invited me to go to dinner with some of her friends. So I'm thinking like it's going to be a bunch of girls and a couple of guys and stuff. Anyway, we go to this real nice restaurant, Japanese style restaurant, where you sit on the floor and stuff like that. And I think luckily for and I don't think they had the place where you can put your feet down either. So it's just like regular Japanese style, where you sit on the floor with the low table and everything. And so they were bringing all kinds of food, and it ended up being like four or five married couples, and the only single people who were there were her and I, or her and me, or she and her, or whatever, however I want to say it. And so as soon as we walked in the place, everybody looked up and saw me, and the expressions on the guy's face was like, huh? And the women, they were like, oh, hey, talking and stuff, So I was like, oh, man, had I known it'd been like this, I wouldn't even came, So we sat down, and everyone's drinking beer and whatever they drink, and so I was just drinking some water. So me and the girl was talking, and then the women, they started asking me questions and things like that, but no one asked me my age, because they figured that I was younger than them all. So I'm looking at the guys, and they're not really looking at me, and they're talking to each other and stuff, and not really paying any attention to me. But there was this one guy who was really particularly noticeable, and he probably was the boss. I think he was the oldest of them all, and he was definitely uncomfortable with me being there. And so I was thinking like, I'm gonna get out of here, But then I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going here and deal with this, but I know exactly what he's going to talk about. I just know exactly what he was going to talk about. And it's just like what a lot of foreign men talking about. Or what most men talk about, foreign men dating their women. I don't, just people. In other words, people that date people that don't look like their parents, and so I knew that was going to come up. So anyway, we were all sitting around and talking and eating and stuff, and they ordered all kinds of food. It was just really incredible. And I was like, wow, they just ordering one dish after another dish, and they're trying to stuff me, but I'm not trying to eat too much, because I'm not paying, for it. I wasn't coming out of my pocket, But the girl, she was like, just please eat. So, I started to eat and everything. So then all of a sudden, two of the guys, they came over and sat where I was sitting, and they started talking to me, And the one guy, he was still sitting there, with his feet up, with his knees up, and arms folded around wrapped around his knees and stuff, and he would switch and change in his sitting position and all that stuff. So anyway, get to the story. When me and the other guys were talking, he all of a sudden he just started saying, well, where you from? I said, from LA. And he was like, so what are you doing in Japan? And I'm like, I'm teaching English. And he's like, you teaching English to who? And I said, the kids. And he was like, oh, well, how do you like that job? I said, it's all right, it's easy. I'm teaching English. I speak the language. It shouldn't be too difficult, And then he just came straight out. He said, is this your girlfriend or something like that? I'm like, nah. Why? you know. And then he said, well, are you married or something? I was like, yeah, I'm married, you know. And you have kids and stuff. And I was like, okay, fine. You know, what's your point? Get to your point. And he just, you know, came out saying, well, you know, a lot of foreign guys are, you know, dating Japanese women and blah, 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 blah. And I think he was more focused on, I don't know, because in Japan, you know, some people will say, well, they don't like white people, they don't like black people. I tend to say they just don't like nobody that's non-Japanese. Or, even more than that, if you don't speak the language, then, you know, it's really hard. But, you know, that's just individual people. So, anyway, he was like, well, I don't see how come Japanese women and foreign men get married and stuff. You know, I mean, you can't live a good life in Japan. You don't speak the language and you can't make a lot of money and stuff. You know, and I'm laughing and I'm like, you know, there's a lot of people in Japan that's making money, probably making more money than you and stuff, you know. And I don't think he liked that, but kind of slipped, but, you know, he had it coming. And then I said, as far as dating and stuff, I think you got this whole thing wrong. And he said, what's wrong? I said, well, why would you? I said, if your daughter, I said, I don't think it matters whether or not your daughter, like if you got a daughter and she want to get married, I don't think it matters or not if she's going to marry a foreign person or a Japanese person. I think the problem is you just lonely because you're in an unsuccessful marriage. And he's like, what are you talking about? My marriage is unsuccessful and blah, 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 you know. And I'm saying it is, because if your marriage was successful, you probably wouldn't be sitting here alone and you wouldn't be bothering me about something that's just so ridiculous and stuff. And he said, well, I just want to know, you know, why? And I said, it's not the problem. It has nothing to do with who the guy is and where he's from. I said, it's you. You're the problem. The men are the problem. He's like, what do you mean? I said, because you want your daughter to marry someone that you like. Basically, you just want a friend, and you don't care about your daughter's feelings. I said, you know, my wife's father was like that too. You know, he wanted her to marry someone that he's comfortable with, and not someone that she's comfortable with. And he's like, well, that's not true. That's not true. I said, yes, it is, because I know for sure if a foreign person was to come along, you would do that. But if it was a Japanese guy, then you would be asking him all these questions, and of course he got to respect you and all this stuff, but you'll be asking him all these questions and things and just totally discourage him instead of asking him, well, can you make my daughter happy? You know, can my daughter make you happy? You know, and things that's really important in a marriage. And he said, well, I would ask that. And I'm like, no, I don't think you would, you know. I said, you can sit here and you can lie to yourself and play games. I said, but I'm not a child, you know. I know exactly what you're thinking, you know. Everybody come to me and they say that every Japanese person I've talked to about this thing say the same thing. And I said, what you should do is if you should just go on and marry the guy that you like and be happy, and let your daughter marry the guy that she like and let her be happy. You know, and then, you know, you won't have nothing to complain about. And when I said that, everybody at the table started laughing and stuff. And he got really angry. You can tell he got angry, you know. But, you know, I guess he thought about it for about another 5 seconds, and he just cracked up. And he said, yeah, that's true. I don't understand why. I said, well, you know, you need to... you know, just be more happy. I say, if you're not satisfied in your marriage, that's fine and stuff, you know. You can make it work. If it don't work, so what? I'm like, you know, but don't discourage your daughter. I said, I got a friend who, she was 23 and met some guy that loved her and everything, wanted to marry her, and her parents started acting stupid and stuff, you know, and getting all jealous and stuff. And he just backed out, married somebody else, and she's 30 years old now and single. And women... and she's cute too, but you know, she's 30 years old, single, working in a department store, and a lot of girls when they're in their 30s, a lot of them just don't get married, you know, and it's a shame, you know. I talked to her about it, you know. I'm telling him this, and I said, I talked to the girl about it, and she said her parents, you know, they really regret what they did, you know. And I said, you know, if you got a daughter, you know, and she get a chance to get married, you know, let her get married.